to say I like the setup, because here many ideas come together which normally don't meet. And I think the biggest energy is very often behind those things which meet and create new. Having listened yesterday about what the ideas were and the statements given, I want to start with a confrontational statement. I think data don't matter unless they are converted into knowledge. Knowledge doesn't matter when it doesn't arrive in reality. So for me, DLD is a very good, I would say, message. It is about digital and live, when data arrive in life. And I think this is extremely important, especially when we think about how we go on on this planet. The challenges of tomorrow, I don't believe we can solve without having the knowledge and the ability which digital brings to us. We have 9 billion of people on this planet in the year 2050. These people want to have food. These want to have a decent living. They need a real job, and for having a decent living, we have to have the productivity. You have to manage these many people on limited resources. How do you think that you can get more out of less with these resources? I think the knowledge which you can create on the data can help, but how to bring it into real life? There's another area which also we touched yesterday already about the aging society. I think it is not enough in order to predict when people get ill or old or incapable. I think what we have to do is, in order to support these people, having a decent life also when you get older. And there are a lot of societies which will have the challenge how to manage this. And I think here when we say 2 billion people older than 60 in 2015, well, 60 is, I would say, not a real age yet, but when you get 70, 75, maybe you will feel that you need some help. You want to stay living at home. So how to do that? How can data support you living longer at home? And how can digital play its role? And I think here two solutions for, at least for some of these areas mentioned above, are for having the jobs, for getting an, I would say, decent life. There's no way out of getting more industrialized as a global world. This creates a lot of mega cities, and when you look to China, you see what is going on there. So we have to manage mega cities. We have to manage resources. And one answer can be to have the digital and the real world converge. So I think what we discussed a lot about generating data. Yes, generating data is important. But the convergence of the real world with the digital world is also that the wrong direction, that you have to be doing something with the data, not that you give a hint to people, now do something. There is maybe something which you can think of. It is something that we need the digital world right to interact with us. We heard already in the morning about fourth industrial revolution or the industrial internet. I believe that this trend will mainly coming out of the industrial area, because the industrial area in the first place is an environment which is a little bit more better to control than when you think about the Internet of Things, which is everywhere. So the next is the industrial internet will create very quickly benefits which go much beyond the ability just to have more automation. So I think this is an area which is willing to finance this trend, which is also needing this trend on a global basis. Just to give you one element here, if you think about in due time 50 billion devices being connected to the internet, out of which is a significant part, then I would say the title is wrong. The way we live, work, and manufacture, I think we have to say the way we manufacture will influence sooner or later significantly how we work and how we live, because there will trends be started. Somebody of you has at home a robot which do vacuum cleaning for you? Some have. are you very happy about? Maybe in some areas it does a good job, in some areas don't. Think about the real robot which can mow your lawn, which can clean your house, which maybe even help your grandpa and grandma in order to get through the day until you come home. These areas meet a completely different set of capabilities than we have today. And here I come, again, sooner or later. Here I come to the next point why I like DLD. DLD is not either or, it is one together with the other. Now looking at the two areas like US being great in IT and the digital world, and Europe having its strengths in the manufacturing area, maybe in the mechanics. Here quite some names you see. Now, why not thinking about to merge the capability of both worlds in order to move on in the area, first of all, in the industrial internet, and second, in, I would say, coming from this, how we work, how we move on. Just one comment on this is we heard yesterday about Uber. Well, when I think about what I really need is to be having I would say, a car ride from A to B. I don't need somebody who drives me. I even don't need a car. I need a car on demand which brings me from A to B, and I even wouldn't like to drive it. So what is a real future to come? It is an autonomous driving car. But this autonomous driving car has a long way to go until we get there. And the next is, do I need a model where I have owned the car? No, I need the right car for the right moment. So I think here a lot of possibilities when we think about the future, how it can be built and how it can be dealt with. And I think for an autonomous driving car, you need 100% reliability because of very many reasons. Even if you have no connections to the internet, the car must drive safe, must drive you where you want to go. And on the other side, you want to have the price, which is, I think, more on the consumer side. So it comes to one crucial point. Steffi introduced me quite nicely. I think what you see is to connect with the real world. We talk about sensors. Sensors is not enough because it's not about sensing only. You want to make something happen. If you think about industrial internet, if you think about robots, even robots, I would say, supporting elements in your life. I do not want to call them right away robots. You have to act. You have to have power semiconductors. You have devices which can move on itself. So here, what you do is more or less you have an autonomous agent. Man can feel, see, smell, hear, and take action accordingly. You have the local brain to do this, but the local brain is definitely of much superior activity when you connect to the net. When you bring value to the net with the data and you get back, I would say, the concept how this device will interact more and better for, I think, even here in an overall concept. So here again, what I say, the origin will be in the industrial internet. That's very interesting what you can watch there. People think about that in a manufacturing environment where you believe lowest cost can only happen when you do single product in high volume. That's a wrong thinking. Let's think about how you can do one product at the cost which you would achieve at the high volume production. How you can do both in the same manufacturing environment. Here you have a lot of examples which I do not want to, I would say, name explicitly. But what is very interesting is you can think even of robots who are interacting with human beings, the collaborative way of working tomorrow. It is not me or the robot, it is me and the robot. This means a type of robots which are not dangerous. When you will watch one of these robots, I'm pretty sure you will say, there I don't get closer. You need a different type of, the robot which even is smoothly interacting with you. The robot which watches you and learning from this, and the next, I would say, Number 3, until whatever you need, pieces, is done by the robot, just learning how it watches you. I think this shows ideas which will swap over from the industrial internet to life. And I think this is extremely important because there they learn how to, in a control environment, how to be perfect, and then we can offer perfect solutions for life. Again, this is maybe Europe is good in machinery, US is good on IT, so why not thinking how we converge this? Oh, by the way, in the last picture, I forgot to give you one example. I have put in a small, I would say, tiny, let's say, kind of a ant. If you go to YouTube and say, type in bionic ant, then there will come up a device and you watch the movie, which is pretty, I would say, interesting that you have a full electronic ant, which is even thinking on the concept of ants doing jobs collaboratively. So I think here I would say extend the thoughts here. Then you see where we can potentially end up tomorrow. Now, well, what is the benefit of an industrial internet for the consumer? You can say, well, I do not care how things are manufactured. You will care, especially I would say the companies who supply goods to you will care. Because look, there is a lot of people who like sports. What is the right shoe for me? How to get the shoe right away produced for me. So I think here could be a huge market, which is definitely the individualized goods which you order, and you get it in no time. So let's think about the shoe. What matters? How your foot looks like. Maybe you're already a very active sportsman or sportswoman. Then you have a lot of set of data which you maybe generated from smart shoes, which I would say converge while you design your own shoe, and you get right away the right shoe, the right material, the right size, and even maybe the right electronics inside the shoe. This is a shoe which fits 100% for you, and which of course has the design you like. It is custom made in a maybe high volume manufacturing environment, but it doesn't matter, because with the industrial internet of which I described before, we can do this at the same cost, and I'm pretty sure many people are willing to pay a little bit more for their shoe. And finally, it's somehow delivered in no time. So maybe you get your shoe in within 24 hours, manufactured to your need and capability. So I think here, of course, we have seen this morning by Siemens how it is done, but we want that the consumer can do this design. No consumer has the background in engineering to do such a shoe. The system has to do it for him, has to provide suggestions, has to take the data, and I think here goes for, I would say, a lot of data which you generate in an overall industrial internet, which you can use as a cloud-based solution for the interactive design. You forward this to the manufacturing, and most likely you do not do it on one factory. You have a connection of various factories, which is automatically managed by the overall system. So we don't think from today's manufacturing point of view, we think from the outcome what has to be done. And finally, you are back to the customer, of course, the one who designed it. And there you have the smart device communicating to the cloud in order to further improve the usage and the capability to design the next generation. And I think here it's very interesting. You may say that it's very much advanced. I think no. And with this, I want to somehow come back to what I started at the beginning. I started having data to knowledge, knowledge to usage. Well, the semiconductor industry are a very complex value chain. It takes us up to 3 months until we have manufactured a chip. And at that point, we can check if the chip works. If we would not have a complete automation, if we would not have learning at every stage, if we cannot track back from the final product on a detailed level where we do what, we would not be able to achieve high yields. We would not be able to, I would say, have a reasonable cost, and especially not a good ramp up. So the idea behind big data and industrial internet is pretty simple. We learn faster. As you learn faster, you are faster with the next generation to market. If you have shorter development time, you are ahead of competition. Knowledge is a big differentiation in the future. It is already today. But industrial internet, the big data is the source of the future knowledge. Not the data, the knowledge. And of course, by the way, we achieve higher productivity. And with this, I conclude. I think here, in the mindset, in the sentiment of DLD, bring together various areas which might benefit by working together. I've shown you the shoe and the manufacturing area, the industrial internet, maybe bringing together the people who can do internet and the people who can do manufacturing. And here with this create new markets. And therefore we are very positive about the joint effort between the Europeans and Americans to go to TTIP. On the other side, I didn't mention one element which I want to conclude here. All the data needs security. Customer is not able to manage. We can do so, but we also need, similar to the ICANN for internet, a system which enables 100% security. We can do hardware security. What we need is to add hardware and software. We have, when we move on, to think system. With thinking system, we can conserve resources, we can create new markets, and we can create the knowledge in order to do this and the due speed in order to match the challenges. So thank you very much, and I hope I can give you a little bit of insight about what we think in manufacturing and how it comes together with digital life and design. So.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ploss. And now you will be challenged by Dennis Berman, business editor of the Wall Street Journal. Please, have a seat.
Thank you.
You have a handheld mic?
What?
You have a handheld mic?
A handheld, oh, it's with the mic. We need a mic. We need a mic.
We also could share my mic, so no problem.
Okay, so
You
you need a mic.
You have a mic.
Thanks. Turn it on? Okay, I liked your shoe. Very cool shoe. How many years till we get a shoe like that?
Well, I think the first stage, the individualized shoe, maybe not take so long. I think how it is manufactured might take longer. I have the expectation we will see it in the next 1-2 years.
1 to 2 years.
Yeah.
So where it's dynamically updated. You can buy a shoe with your name on it from Nike already.
Yes, but it is manufactured to your foot. So the difference is not the name. This is everybody can put on.
Right.
But everybody has a different foot. And in order to be a better sports person, why not having a shoe which fits 100% to you? No shoe fits.
Right. What's your view on the likelihood of actual collaboration between so many different parties? You had a few slides up there.
Yeah.
U.S., Europe, it made it look so harmonious. But everyone here is fighting for market share, fighting to control the standards, the technical standards. Tell us about the warfare that's going on between all those different parties.
I don't believe that you have to fight for everything. It is very good to collaborate in many areas. And when I see, for instance, when we look at the autonomous driving, then I think there's a lot, for instance, on competence on the West Coast in order to do picture recognition, which the car needs in order not to crash somewhere. And there, the high-end brands of Germany, for instance, are having a very close collaboration with the people there, with the universities and others. So I think here we have to think in what is needed to be successful, and you do not need all to be successful. I think here the mindset of the industry, at least to a certain degree, is changing.
Okay, and so do you think that there could actually be collaboration rather than competition, say, in the automated car between Google and the BMW or Apple and Toyota?
Yeah, I think Google has maybe the map data. Right. Somebody else has the ability to watch the road precisely. some Google Maze or others want to sell the augmented reality advertisement, which is then popping up in the car. So nobody will win if he tries to manage all. So I think you only win if you are excellent in the area you cover.
And can I ask maybe a deeper question here? Is there a moral component to a world in which everything is being viewed, everything can be sensed? We live in a panopticon society where there's neither privacy in our data nor privacy in our physical motions because it is literally being sensed everywhere we go.
That's a very difficult question. I believe if you have, and I think this goes from the individual to the government, the right morale, then I think we can handle this. But on the other side, we already have today so many cameras everywhere that there is hardly any privacy. So what I believe this, if we do it right, converge the ability for security with the Internet of Things, then everybody can choose what he allows the rest in order to access his data. You more or less can personalize the data which you are willing to give away. And I think today we already give away a lot of data when we have listened here about how much we post and tell. Right. I think here there's no sensitivity in the people.
So how long do you think till we have embeddable chips in humans? 20 years, 25 years, or less?
Well, some already we have. So some people have an injected ID in order to pay. I think for when you look at the insulin, for instance, I think this will getting support for people and having chips in the people in order to get support will be definitely happening the next 5 years.
5 years?
Yeah.
So a child born, what is it, 2015, do you think a child born in 2035, it will be culturally accepted for that child to have an implanted chip of some sort at birth?
Well, it depends on, but maybe it's a child may not be asked for. But my opinion is here, I think, as all the society is developing, I think we might have next time a discussion in the DLD how we cope with the needed, I would say, value system behind what we can do if this should be done.
Right. Okay. I think this will be the last question before we move on here. But what is the single most important concrete step that must be taken by industry at large to make those slides that you put up here on this screen happen?
From my point of view today, we think too much in individual companies, and at the end of the day, the industry is internet is something where things come together. We have to sit down and think about how we make things interactive on a flawless manner, and therefore this is, for me, thinking overall industrial system the most important.
So it's really about collaboration.
It is absolutely.
So everyone needs to go to 85 Avenue A for the after party at Elvis. What is it? Elvis's what? I forget what it was. Elvis's guest house, 85 Avenue A. Maybe that's the place to start. But
100%.
But collaboration.
I think collaboration is the one which makes a difference.
Okay. So thank you very much to Dr. Ploss. And Steffi, you'll take it from here? Okay.
Thank you.